Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mark Cohn from the DMLC Racing Channel. Today, we are actually doing something a bit different here. See, last Saturday, Sonoma Raceway announced that they were actually switching for the NASCAR Cup Series race for next year from the previous layout, which was the one basically with the chute, which was regarded as a kind of slow right-hander where some action happened, to the long layout, which features the carousel. Basically, long story short, the shorter layout was 2 corners. The longer layout is 3 corners that are much, much more difficult. Now, the previous short layout that NASCAR had been using was from 1998 to 2018. Basically, the last 20 years they've been using that. However, from 1989 to 1997, they had been using the long full course layout. In my opinion, the full course layout is very, very exciting and something that I applaud NASCAR and Sonoma Raceway for doing for next year. And as a matter of fact, rather than just talk about why this is so great, I figured instead, why don't I just show you by showing you what the full course layout entails. So here we go. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is actually do a bit of a slow pace lap to give you an idea of what the layout is like. And then afterwards, I'm going to do a faster, kind of almost race speed lap. This might not be 10 tenths, but I'm going to try and get as close as I can without wrecking it, obviously. So, here we go. I don't use H-pattern shifter as much as I should. However, I did break it out for this one, just to make it a bit more authentic. And we're off here. Now, exiting the pits, you can obviously see that uphill left-hander, and then of course the slow right coming right up ahead. Over here, typically I'll be in third gear and then go down to second, just because if you go through fourth, it doesn't really make sense since you're basically maxing out third gear. When you go to second, you have to try so hard to make sure you're hitting that apex on the right, then track out to the left here. That corner in itself, I've seen so many crashes through there, and here in particular. I think it was 2006 where they had a massive, massive pileup in this section alone. Coming up here, of course, we got the left, right. This kind of complex that's so crazy. You keep it in second, you go to the left, then you go up. You're basically facing the sky. You don't want to hit that curb too much because it can upset the car, but you want it to track out over here towards the curbs. Now I'm going to actually stop it here for a quick second because over here is where things change. Normally you would be focused on gaining speed to go up right into the chute section, which would be up to the right, up ahead here past those two kind of cones. And then basically you go up there, maybe go up into third, then down to second, clip that curb a bit, try not to go too wide, and then go through, gain a bit of speed again to that other curb where you'd go down to first. That area has produced some excitement. I believe that's where in 2008 they had Kevin Harvick, I believe Jamie McMurray, Tony Stewart all get together and spin out. That area has produced quite a bit of excitement. However, this area that we're about to come up on is going to be quite different, but in its own right, I feel even tougher and is going to be great to watch. Since we just came through the left-right complex that's uphill, instead what you would be focusing on here is actually slowing down. I've tried first and second gear. I'd honestly recommend keeping it in second just because you're able to maintain momentum better. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. You'd want to get as close as you can to this curb without absolutely nailing it. Then kind of track out a bit. Up here is where things get very interesting because while you can get a bit of speed up here, you can't go full bore, especially in the hot conditions I've set. I've actually set highest weather conditions possible temperature wise in iRacing just to make it so, since it's hot in the summer, I mean, why not try to make it more realistic? Now, what we actually passed there, the uphill, I'm going to actually back up a bit, as silly as it sounds, because I want you guys to all get this point here. Back up a tiny bit, not get any warnings. I usually actually brake up here before going on the downhill. I feel like if you brake past that, the car actually is going to get loose on you, which is going to make it a bit interesting going into that carousel. So I slow it down there, and usually through this complex I'm keeping in second gear the whole time. However, what's interesting up ahead is this, the carousel. This corner is famous in that in 1995, Dale Earnhardt Sr., the Intimidator, he passed Mark Martin because Martin had actually gotten in a bit of oil through here. And that ended up with Earnhardt taking his only Road Course Series win at Sonoma at this layout, which is pretty legendary, considering he had always wanted to get a road course win, and in 1995 he got it. Now going through here, what I found has been working so far is you might want to, there's two ways you can do it. You could either keep it on the left towards that curb the whole way through, or you could track a bit wide. Try not to go wide here because it's so easy to get too wide into that grass to your right and then hit the barriers, which I did in practicing for this video, as a matter of fact. Personally, I'd recommend keeping it to the left, but I'm guessing there's going to be people that are going to try and keep it to the right and then just go a bit over the edge. That could be a spot of crashes. What's coming up ahead here, though, look how much room there is. There's so much room, it's easy to track out. I'm not sure if this is part of the drag strip. It might be. I could totally be wrong here. I think it might be. But you see how much space there is here? If you get a good run here, there's going to be so much space to go side by side. It's unbelievable. So that's one of the huge bonuses, if you ask me, of this layout, and something that'll make it a lot of fun. Because it might look like you're going to the right, you're actually going to the left here. And here is the last part of that layout that's different from the chute layout. However, something that's still in itself exciting. Through here, I think it's going through second, maybe third. Then you go down to second again here. I usually brake right after that elevation change, around that area. But what's exciting here, yes, there's a lot of runoff area, but this is a great passing zone. If you get to the inside right near this curb, you're going to be able to get a pass on someone, because that outside line, good luck holding it there. The other thing that's really technical about here is it's a double apex. There was one right back there, another right where I'm parked here, and this area just past here, as a matter of fact, this whole area, it's pretty memorable to me because back in 1991 in the NASCAR event, towards the end, Mark Martin and sports car ace Tommy Kendall were in a very hard-fought battle up until they passed here and then collided. That unfortunately spun Mark Martin out of the race, then flattened Tommy Kendall's tire on his left front, I believe, and ended his day. But still, that was pretty intense for that day. So don't think that there's not going to be any action in those two, that whole complex up to here, because believe me, it's going to be, it's happened before, I'm sure it'll happen again. Now we go to the famous S's. There's two ways, of course, you can do it. You can either kind of, go near these curbs, don't overdo it. Go through it in second, try not to spin out considering the rear tires. It's so easy to get them loose under power considering it's 750 to 800 horsepower. Or you could go through in third, play it a bit safe, and then just keep going through this complex until that right-hander. If you go in second, in that right-hander, it's so easy to potentially spin it, like you can see my tire tracks there where I got it wrong. This car has so much power, the rear tires, hot weather, it's like almost melting like marshmallows. You just have to get the rhythm so far correct. And up here in hot weather, you're lucky if you get past 130 to 135 miles per hour. However, if you're in cold weather, it's easy to get to 140. And you'd be in third gear all the way through here. Hold it right towards this curb here without hitting it, And then over here, try not to go wide. There's been plenty of people. Chase Elliott wrecked there. Kyle Busch almost wrecked there once. Danica Patrick spun out there once. Tough area. And then you're holding third through here, of course, to the famed hairpin to end the lap. This corner, I think it says it all when over here, I'm going to pause here for a second. Ricky Rudd spun out Davey Allison on the second to last lap of the race in 1991, was black flagged by NASCAR at the end of the race. People are still mystified why that happened, but Rudd did spin him out going into there. 2016, I feel, is probably the most memorable moment because Tony Stewart had been passed by Denny Hamlin in Hamlin had wheel hopped the car, but he still bumped Tony Stewart at the end of the chute. And then coming into here, Stewart was chasing. Hamlin had actually missed his braking point, went wide. Stewart went low, gave him a bit of a hip check, which is fair play considering what had happened earlier in the lap, and it was a final lap, and got his final career win at Sonoma. Those two memories, I mean, the hairpin, basically this whole track, there's so much action that happens here. So I think just adding the full course layout onto what had previously been the chute will be very exciting. Now, enough of the talking, let's get the whole lap in so you can see what it's really like. Go through the hairpin, try not to overdo it and hit these curbs. Go a bit wide, here we go. Modulate the throttle a bit, just so you don't spin. Third gear. We're close to 140, going a bit wide. Okay, now cut it in. Cut it in. Second gear. Get this without using too much curb. Track out here. I'm not on the throttle all the way here. Left turn. Here's the right, that looks uphill. Now we're about at the end of this curb, I'm going to brake. You have to really cut in now. This is, of course, the full course layout now. Can't use the throttle all the way here because otherwise you're going to spin. Got a bit loose there. Easy on the brakes. That was a bit conservative, but I didn't want to spin it there. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do just to show you what's on the inside path. It gets a bit tight, but you're still able to track out there. Alright, elevation change, brake, second. Okay, one apex, bit wide, nail that second one. Kept it in second, that worked. Okay, the S's. Don't overdo it on the curbs. I'm doing it in third just to be safe. Left, right. Don't go too wide, don't spin it. Got a tiny bit loose, but saved it A-okay. About 130, brake. Now you hold it to the right there. It wants to go wide, wants to, but I'm not letting it. Brake, second, first. Cut through here, not too hard. Don't get those barriers. That actually happened to Bobby Labonte in 1999, I believe. Would kill the car if you're not careful. Okay, second. Third. That was one lap. I'm going to give it one more. Just go a bit faster since I know I can do it. Ooh. That could have been bad, but I kept it going. It's just so easy to get it wrong if you're not careful. This is a tough track, but it's a ton of fun. Let's try first here and see what happens. Got a bit of a curve, but I held it. Okay, third does work. It doesn't want to turn, so you gotta be careful with the input not to get too much understeer. That was better there. Other thing you gotta remember is wheel hop. If you go way too much on it, it's just gonna, the rear end's gonna chatter and the car will spin out on you. Be a bit aggressive here. Doesn't want to turn and now want to spin out like that. Okay. That right. There was a bit of wheel hop there, but again, I held it. Track out. Don't overdo the power. And there we go. Ooh, that was my best lap yet. Whew. Imagine doing that. I believe it's going to be 85 laps. The thing was, when they used to use this layout, I'm going to park it here. It used to actually be 300 miles around here and was only 74 laps. Now it's 85, 350 miles on that layout. That's definitely going to be a challenge for these drivers. And the other huge bonus I've noticed from actually being someone that lives maybe about 15-20 miles from this track over in Napa, from actually visiting before, there's so much more you can see as a fan of the full course layout than the shoot layout. You just see the drivers passing through down that other route, through the carousel, which of course is one of the big corners, and then through the back of the track as well, through about turn 1 and 2, right over here, which is basically my go-to spot as a spectator. So there's a lot of good things that's going to happen with this full course layout. As someone that's actually been to multiple NASCAR events and IndyCar event as well, and actually rode in race cars and driven around this track before, for real, I'm just overjoyed that NASCAR and Sonoma Raceway made the decision to use this full course layout. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I just thought I would give my opinion on this change and just say thank you to those that made this happen, because it's going to be very exciting. This has been Mark Cohn from the DMLC Racing Channel. I hope you have a very good evening now. Thank you so much for watching.